Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. As you can see, we already have a special guest here with us. It is the Level 1 Podcast. I'm DSP. Today is Monday, the 18th of March, 2024, and I welcome you here to the show. Jasper is excited to be a part of the show today as well, as you can see. And we're still in the midst of a heat wave here in Washington. Today's day 3. It's supposed to be a 4-day heat wave, which is why, as you can see, I'm still in summer attire and will be today and likely tomorrow until finally it cools down on Wednesday and I can go back to seasonal clothing. Although is it either today spring or tomorrow the first day of spring here in the United States? I lose track. It was either today or tomorrow. And it's funny because we've had cooler, rainy weather for a couple months, which has been great. It's what we're supposed to have this time of year, right, Jasper? And then all of a sudden, boom, heat wave this weekend. So that's why I've been looking like it's midsummer, even though it's pretty much still winter. Pretty crazy. But anyway, I welcome you here to the show. And I certainly hope that you guys are having fun, in a good mood, and doing well. If not, well, hopefully we can fix some of those things with today's show. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We'll talk about updates on the React stuff because we actually have some pretty important updates regarding DSP Throwback and the next project over there. I need feedback about that, and I need you guys to help me out to figure it out. In addition, in addition to that, we have some game news today to cover. Some interesting stories, 2 interesting stories actually, that I'm sure you guys would like to chat about. And outside of that, we'll see where the show takes us. Today's major focus is Baldur's Gate 3, right, buddy? We got to get through Cazador's mansion. And we just entered it we've been in it for about maybe a half an hour doing questing, and we just had a big fight. But people are saying, oh no, that's just the beginning. Cazador's mansion is actually quite lengthy, and you're going to be in it for a while. It might even take all stream today. So if it is, that's the case, then I guess that's the case. I also guess people are saying that Cazador is considered one of the big 3 fights of the game. Maybe I'm wrong, but people were saying he's supposed to be one of the epic fights of the game, along with Raphael and I guess 1 or 2 other bosses coming up. But also there was the Tribunal of Assassins, Balls Assassins or whatever, and we already took care of that. So that's today's streams. Keep in mind, there is no late stream tonight. Reason being, this will be the final day this month, okay, where I can't do a late stream because number 1, I have to film private patron react videos, and number 2, because I have to work on some behind the scenes stuff for my business. But luckily, it should all be taken care of and wrapped up as of tonight. So moving forward, I should be able to be here for full double stream days and no more interruptions, hopefully. And we'll go from there. Now, I just want to let you guys know, one of the hot topics that we've been discussing recently is what should be the next new game that I start. And a monkey wrench was kind of thrown into everything again yesterday on my React show. We watched the trailer for Alone in the Dark, and I thought it looked all right. Now, I wasn't in love with it, but at the same time, it looks interesting. It's a horror-themed game, supposedly, or something supernatural. It's not apparently clear, but it looks like it could be pretty interesting. And I'm like, oh, all right, maybe we should play that. And it's like, oh, comes out March 20th. I looked at my calendar, I said, March 20th? What the hell? It comes out on Wednesday? Well, I didn't know it comes out on Wednesday. I thought it was like the end of the month. Remember, this game had been delayed like multiple times during its development. Originally, it was supposed to come out back in October. Then it was supposed to come out in January. And now it's coming out on Wednesday. So that's thrown into the mix. But of course, the big question was, what new game was I going to play on Friday, with the choices being Rise of the Ronin or Dragon's Dogma 2. So I've put a lot of thought into this. I've listened to your feedback, and based on my thoughts and your feedback, I've made a decision. And I made a decision that I'm going to announce right now. So if you're ready for the decision, listen up. And if you're not ready for the decision, then what I need you to do is take your fingers and stick them into your ears like this and go for about 5 minutes when I explain my decision, okay? Oh, wait. Oh, you wanted my decision now? You wanted to hear it? Oh, okay. So my decision is that I am going to, this Friday, I'm going to begin playing Pal World full time. I've decided to drop all my current playthroughs and only play Pal World. I think now is the exact right time to do it while it's still hot. No, I just think it's funny that, like, a lot of these games now, what you see is they get momentary popularity, and then within a few weeks, they're just not popular anymore. Like, no one's talking about Pal World. It's as if the game never existed. But remember, it was the hottest game, the biggest selling game, for some time there, right? So it was pretty crazy in that regard that it was humongous, and then no one talks about it. But a lot of games seem to be like this these days. Anyway, no. We've thought about it together. Like, you gave me your feedback this week. I thought about it, and I've decided that starting this Friday, the new game that I will start playing is Dragon's Dogma 2. And there's a few reasons for this. Reason number one, it's the game that I'm most interested in and already wanted to play before this whole idea of RPG overload affected the channel. Okay? It's just the game that I'm more interested in, that I think is going to be the better option. I think it's going to have more eyes on it. More people will be interested in that right now. So that's number one. Number two, you guys gave me feedback this week, and literally about 80% of the people who did respond said play Dragon's Dogma 2. There are still some people who want to see Rise of the Ronin, but for the most part, people are like, yeah, I think Dragon's Dogma is going to be the bigger game. I'm more interested in that. And the thing is, being that it's going to be an RPG where you make your own pawn team, and you can play it a little bit differently than others, I think that playthrough will be more interesting to watch as opposed to Rise of the Ronin. You know, a lot of people might be playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and say, all right, well, I'm curious how this person's going to handle that. You know, kind of like Elden Ring, where a lot of people wanted to see in the early game, well, how did that person build their character? How did that person tackle those challenges early on as opposed to my playthrough? I think people will want to see that with Dragon's Dogma 2. Okay? So that's what I'm going with. Now, I just want to say this up front. This doesn't mean that I'm not ever playing Rise of the Ronin. It just means as of right now, I'm not playing Rise of the Ronin. It may happen in the future. We may have time for it later. It might be something people want after it comes out. Maybe it'll grow in popularity and people will be like, oh, how dare you? So, yes, I will possibly play Rise of the Ronin. It's not off the table. It's just not going to be played immediately. Fair enough. Now, I want to remind you guys something. Okay? This is important. Just because the game comes out Friday and I am going to be playing Dragon's Dogma 2 all day Friday, it does not mean that I'm playing it nonstop. In fact, it's going on hiatus immediately. Because if you remember, RPG overload, right? I cannot be playing all these RPGs at once. I absolutely have to put my foot down. And I have to play Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and finish them. I have to do this, okay? It has to be finished. So we will cover it for launch day, for that launch day hype, and to get a great taste of what the game will be. And then we got to wait about another week to finish these games. Once these games are wrapped up, then I will go wholeheartedly, full force push into Dragon's Dogma 2, and I'm excited for it. Remember, way back in the day, Dragon's Dogma 1 was actually one of the games that I loved. And honestly, I'll be honest, my audience didn't like it as much. You know, I was an on-demand content creator back then. I did not live stream. I was still using my camera to capture from my TV back in Connecticut. And I loved the game. I found its open world formula to be refreshing and interesting. I liked the grinding style where you could jump on the monsters and find their weak points, have your pawns attack, and use strategy to win, and you grind and you get levels and items and things. I really enjoyed it. And I was always hoping that eventually they would actually make a sequel. So I'm happy that they have. I hope that it's good. You know, I don't know how good it will be. I guess we'll find out. But I can't just go wholeheartedly into it when I have these lingering, insanely long playthroughs, right? So we absolutely have to do it. Okay, we have to. So I hope that you guys are understanding, right? Wouldn't you rather have me finish these games that have been going on for 2, 3, 4 months so we can focus fully on Dragon's Dogma 2 rather than having me play Dragon's Dogma 2 twice a week and balance it with a million other games no one's asking for? I think it makes sense, right? Plus, we are heading into the exciting end game of both games now, and people want to see them end and not linger. So I think that we're making the right decision here, okay? So it is official. My wife and I are going to do some fun stuff with Dragon's Dogma 2 on our day off. I'll talk about that in a little bit because we're going to get to the schedule. Okay. Sweet. All right. So anyway, guys, that's my decision. We'll talk about the schedule in a sec. But before we get to that, let's do a quick recap of yesterday, the React day of the week, because it went pretty well. And I actually want to talk about a big update about DSP Throwback because we have two important decisions to actually make about the channel. Okay. All right. So yesterday was Sunday. Sunday was React Day. React Day means the entire day I was reacting to content of different kinds. On my first show, DSP versus the Internet, I reacted to clips as submitted by the channel members over on the DSP Reacts channel. That went really well. Good variety of clips submitted. Interesting topics. I enjoyed myself a lot, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the content. If you haven't seen it yet, first 2 videos went live yesterday. The third just went live about an hour ago over on the DSP Reacts channel. And a new video will go live again one a day for the next 3 days. Please, if you like that content, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. If you become a member of the submissions level tier or higher, those are the people who are submitting clips for the show. And the threads to submit clips for next week's show are already live, and you can do that if you're a channel member, okay? So good stuff there. And then for the late stream, we swung over to DSP Throwback, my other channel, and on that channel is the throwback content where we've got legacy playthroughs of Final Fantasy 13 and Red Dead Redemption 1 with a part daily going live, alternating. And then also once a week, I do what's called Retro React. This is a stream where I react to an older playthrough of mine from the past, and I bring modern commentary and reactions and criticism to it because, man, I was different back then. You know, the old content is just so irreverent. The commentary is ridiculous in some cases. I definitely act in a way that I would not act today now that I'm older and more mature, but it's fun to look back at the past and acknowledge your mistakes and acknowledge how you used to be and laugh at it, right? So the playthrough of Heavy Rain has done really good on that channel for an old playthrough. For example, it's the most viewed thing I've done on the channel since the first videos in January. So it's doing better than Red Dead. It's doing better than Final Fantasy 13. It's good that that is on the channel because it's keeping that channel alive with views and engagement. And the streams typically have been doing really well too with attendance, engagement, and support. And that's great because that support is allowing that channel to be viable for me to run. So with all that being said, last night's stream went well and we're almost done with Heavy Rain. In fact, last night was a very infamous portion of my original Heavy Rain playthrough from 2010. It was, excuse me, tickle in my throat. It was the portion where the game crashed repeatedly for about 20 minutes and it would not work. And I raged. It was one of my infamous first ever like rage outs at a game. I got so upset. I'm swearing like a sailor. I'm punching my desk and, well, not my desk, my table. And you can see the camera vibrating as I'm doing this because I'm like, I just want to play the game and the game doesn't want to be played. It keeps freezing up and having issues. So that was a cool part to see live for the first time in ages. And now we're basically down to the end. Next week, we will definitely finish the Heavy Rain playthrough. In addition to that, in the Red Dead Redemption playthrough, for those who haven't been following it this far, we're now like 30-some parts into it. So we're nearly done. We're actually in Blackwater doing the missions around tall trees and stuff like that. This is the final area of Red Dead Redemption 1. So within another week or two, we're probably done with that playthrough. In fact, I was checking with my editors, and they, you know, there's only one folder of videos left for the playthrough. They're finishing up editing the final videos now. And then within maybe, like I said, maybe a week, I have to send them the video files and then it'll be ready to be done. Okay? So we have 2 critical choices to make with the DSP Throwback channel. Choice number 1, do we keep doing Retro React every week? I've been doing it every Sunday night. And yes, that means 1 less stream of gameplay a week for sure. But you guys seem to like the streams. You've enjoyed the premise of me reacting to my old content. You've showed up, engaged, and supported those streams. So I'm okay with doing it weekly on Sunday nights as long as you guys are okay with that. But we have to choose another game to start not next week, but the week after. Okay? And there's been some debate on the channel on those streams about what we should do. It seems like a lot of people are interested in seeing me continue with the Dark Souls 1 run. If you remember, excuse me, I got a stupid tickle today. It's annoying me. If you remember, back in, I want to say early February, we did a stream of Dark Souls 1, and it did good. You guys really liked it, but then people wanted to see Heavy Rain, so we started with that. So we could go back to Dark Souls 1, Or another suggestion that people have made is the original Bully playthrough from 2013. It started with a camera pointed at the TV, the old style. More than halfway through the playthrough, I adopted direct capture, and the visuals and the audio dramatically changed because of that. It could be cool to see that transition in the middle of the playthrough. But also, it's just one of the more epic playthroughs that I've ever done. A Rockstar game that's not GTA, right? It's funny, it's interesting, it's a good subject matter, a good plot, and it's just silly to watch. So I think you might like that. What about BioShock 1, the original playthrough from 2009? This is one of my oldest full playthroughs that I ever did on the internet. The quality's terrible, but man, it could be cool to see me in such a long time ago playing a game like that. I don't even remember the playthrough that well, to be honest, so that could be pretty cool to watch. Or is there a fourth suggestion that you guys can come up with? Because what I'd like to do is do a poll starting next weekend. When we finish Heavy Rain, I want to put the new poll up on the community tab of that channel for people to vote on what do you want to see next for Retro React. And based on that poll, it'll pick the next game. And, I don't know. I really don't know what to do. I'm on the fence about it. Like, personally, I want to see more Dark Souls. I really liked doing that run. But, man, I think Bully sounds really interesting to me because I've never watched back that playthrough, and everyone says it's an epic one from 11 years ago that they would love to watch again. And then, of course, BioShock is just kind of a weird science study because it's so old. It's 2009. I hadn't even been making content for a year yet. So to see one of my earliest playthroughs like that could be fascinating, right? Now, a couple things. You may say, well, wait a minute. Well, why aren't you doing a classic like, for example, Fallout 3? Why isn't Fallout 3 a candidate? Well, there's a really good reason, okay? And I'm going to tell you the reason. I'm going to skip this ad because I want to tell you the reason. I don't want you to be interrupted. Sadly, the Fallout 3 playthrough has all of the music in it, okay? I had the radio on for a lot of the playthrough. And the music's great, don't get me wrong. I think it's a really huge part of the playthrough. But, sadly, YouTube does not like the music, okay? Man, this tickle in my throat is really bothering me now. It's pissing me off. Excuse me for 1 second. Of course, this has to hit me in the middle of the podcast, right? Anyway, the music in the Fallout 3 playthrough, the original one, basically destroyed the playthrough. And what I mean by that is, if I were to try to stream the game, the stream might get shut down for the music. And I know that sucks, but it's just true. Like, that old-timey music, sadly, YouTube has a big problem with it. I went back and looked at my old Fallout 3 playthroughs, and just in the first 12 parts of Fallout 3, 7 of them are claimed. Some are partially blocked in parts of the world, and that's going to be a problem for the stream, The thing is, if I just did the videos on demand as a React project, then probably they would just be claimed, but streaming that content is a risk. I know this from when I do DSP Reacts, and the clip show DSP versus the internet. Stuff that would just get claimed, sadly, the stream says, oh, detected copywritten content. This stream must now be shut down for like 3 minutes. Please stop broadcasting the copywritten content. And it's pretty ridiculous that they would do that, but they do it all the time. So I can't really take the risk of playing Fallout 3 unless, and this is an interesting premise, unless people choose that Fallout 3 be a game that be restored and upgraded for DSP Throwback. What does that mean? Well, take a look at the playthroughs we're doing right now. Red Dead Redemption 1 and Final Fantasy 13. Imagine if Fallout 3 got that same treatment, okay? Imagine if it gets put into 30-minute parts instead of 10-minute, upscaled quality, better audio, because the audio is terrible in that playthrough. And my editors work on trying to remove the music, or at least muffling it enough so that basically it doesn't screw stuff up, okay? And that's what I'm wondering about. Could we do it that way? Now, we could. However, if they do it, that's a lot of work, and we have to have a commitment that people are going to be interested in the playthrough. I think people would be interested in rewatching Fallout 3 Improved, but man, that's going to be a time commitment. You know, the Fallout 3 playthrough is long. So that's the thing. If we're going to ever react to the Fallout 3 playthrough, my editors would have to take a pass at it first to be sure that we could stream it. All right. So we'll think about that. All right. So for now, Fallout 3 is out. Maybe we could do Fallout 3 in the future. Okay. My other idea is Mass Effect 1. My original playthrough of Mass Effect 1 that I ever put onto YouTube many years ago is a classic. This is the one where Thugs on the Floor came from, and other memes as well. But Thugs on the Floor is the one that's like the biggest, most momentous, meme that came out of that playthrough. So those are what I'm going for. More Dark Souls 1, Bully, original BioShock playthrough, or original Mass Effect 1 playthrough. Those are the 4 that I'm thinking of. All right. So unless you guys have other options or opinions, like, oh man, I think this one would be better, let's talk about it over the week. Think about it. And then we're going to make that poll next week when I broadcast my Retro React stream to finish Heavy Rain. You guys will get to help me figure out the options, and we could start that voting. Okay. Now, the other thing is, as I just said, Red Dead Redemption 1 is about to finish. It's about to be completed. But maybe another week to 2 weeks tops, it will be done. And so, unless we're just going to constantly work on Final Fantasy 13, which I could, to try to get it done, it's actually about... I looked at the folders yesterday, and I think there's 6 folders. I uploaded 2 folders of videos last night, and there's about 6 folders left. So there's basically about a third of the playthrough left. So we're like 2/3 right now through Final Fantasy 13, about 20 hours in. The game's about 30 hours, the playthrough. So roughly 1 more month if we're alternating. If we're not alternating, we may be able to finish it in like 2.5 weeks. Okay? But I don't know if people want to see Final Fantasy 13 every day. That's why we started alternating between that and Red Dead. Excuse me. So... if we're not going to do Final Fantasy 13 every day, we need another playthrough. The question is, what should the playthrough be? Well, we got options. It could be L.A. Noire, which is the other playthrough that's the legacy playthrough lost to YouTube because it was on the Red Dead DSP channel that got shut down. So that's a possibility. Keep in mind, L.A. Noire has a lot of music in it that gets in trouble on YouTube. So perhaps if we do that, I would have to have the editors edit out the music. Okay? If not L.A. Noire, then what else? Well, there is the Red Dead Redemption Suicide Kings online gameplay, and it's many hours. I want to say it's like 5 to 6 hours of gameplay. So it would be a big series of like 12 parts or something like that if split up. It's not, let me put it this way. Excuse me. The raw gameplay is not the most entertaining thing. There are moments in the gameplay that are absolutely epic and fun, but the raw gameplay isn't so interesting. Because me and John Rambo kind of wandering around trying to figure out what kind of stunts can we pull, what kind of stuff can we do that would be interesting to the audience. And a lot of the time it's us experimenting and it doesn't work, or it's just kind of boring. But when we make something work, like when we all get in a stagecoach and we jump off of a waterfall, it's epically funny. Okay? So that's a possibility, all right, of something that we could definitely do. But it wouldn't be super long. And we are just coming off of Red Dead Redemption 1, so maybe it's not time for that. There's also Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. That's also lost to time. It's not on the internet anywhere, but I was thinking of saving that for Halloween. I was thinking, let's have Undead Nightmare actually come out around October. That'll be perfect timing, and people might be more interested in watching it then. So, of all the videos that are for posterity purposes, you know, L.A. Noire, or the Suicide Kings co-op, or Undead Nightmare. But, like I said, we could do something else. If you guys wanted to see if we take a stab at Fallout 3, or you want to see us take a stab at another old playthrough, where the videos are the camera at the TV, and it could benefit from editing into 30-minute parts, and upscaling, and audio wiping, and things like that, let me know. We have to figure this out, essentially, within the next 2 weeks. Okay? So please give me your feedback on that, and we will talk about it. And similarly, how we're going to have a poll next week for the next Retro React. I'd like to do a poll on the Throwback channel for the next actual posterity project to see what comes next after Red Dead ends, okay? So let me know your ideas. Does anyone else have any other ideas of things for DSP Throwback? Let me know, okay? Okay. Eternal Napalm says Darksiders. You mean the original Darksiders playthrough? Wow. That's an old one. Okay. So that's what's going on with the React content. We had a great stream last night of Heavy Rain. One part is live, and a new part will go live for the next 4 days on the DSP Throwback channel. So go check that out and get caught up because next weekend is the conclusion. FYI, if you become a member on that channel, you can access the archive streams right away. You won't have to wait all week to see it. You can actually watch the whole thing in its entirety right now. Okay? Cool. All right. Today, it's only one stream day. I've explained why. It's Baldur's Gate 3. We're going to try to get through the Cazador Mansion and beyond. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow, it is more Baldur's Gate 3 paired with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. The push for game completion continues. It's funny because more than one person have kind of drawn out this checklist for me. What's remaining that's memorable to do or important to do in Act 3 of Baldur's Gate? And it's like, so finish the Cazador Mansion, the Shadow Heart mission, the Will mission, excuse me, I'm burping and I can't concentrate when I'm burping. Oh, gotta defeat Orin, gotta defeat, what's his name? The guy running the city, I forgot his name right now. It's Gortash? Yeah, gotta beat Gortash. The way to beat Gortash is different. You can either do the Iron Throne and shut down his Sentinels, or you could just go straight for him and fight the Sentinels while you're fighting him and do it that way, which is a shortcut way to do it. And then after that, you have other options of how to end the game. So basically, people are like, yeah, don't do the optional stuff. You know, there's the fireworks mission. Don't bother with it. There's the finding the escaped zombies of the necromancer guy. Don't bother with it. It's too time consuming at this point. Just try to go through the necessary missions for character arc completion and then the end of the game. So it's funny though, because when you look at this checklist that everyone keeps providing me with, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, what? There's still like fucking 10 major things to do in the game, and you know each one's gonna probably take at least half of a stream. So how long am I gonna be playing this game? I'm trying to play it, I'm playing it today, I'm playing it tomorrow, I'm playing it Wednesday, I'm playing it Saturday, I'm playing it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, until the game is done. I need it done. So I hope we can finish it by the end of this month. Seriously, I hope we finish it by the end of this month, because this is getting ridiculous at this point that I'm sinking this much time into it, and it's never ending. Like, come the fuck on, right? Listen, I like the game, but there's got to be a time when you say, enough is enough. I want to see the ending. This is fucking ridiculous, you know? Okay, now, as for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, we're all the way in Chapter 11. That's right, within like 2-3 streams, we went from being stuck in Chapter 8 all the way to Chapter 11. So we're turboing through. People even saying, yes, if for your next few streams, if you just focus on story, you'll probably beat Like a Dragon before you beat Baldur's Gate 3. That's just ridiculous. We're 50 hours into Like a Dragon, by the way. So yeah, if we beat it in the next week and it's like a 60-hour playthrough, I'm okay with that. I do realize there's a ton of side content we haven't done. What we may do is just go to the point of no return and then see how much time we have and determine what we do and what we don't want to do. So that way we don't miss anything important to maybe Kiryu's storyline concluding before the game ends. But we'll see. All right, guys, I have to blow my nose. So I'm going to use the new feature where I pause recording, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So hopefully the pause feature is working well for those on demand. Obviously, those on the stream, I couldn't fast forward time. But welcome back. All right, so schedule-wise this week. Baldur's Gate 3 today, no late stream tonight. Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon tomorrow. Baldur's Gate and Like a Dragon Wednesday. I'm off from streaming on Thursday, but because I'm playing Dragon's Dogma 2 on Friday, I'm going to download the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator ahead of time. I'm going to create my character, and my wife is going to create a pawn for me. And we're going to have those import into the playthrough on Friday. So what does this mean? It means I will not have to do character creation on Friday when we start Dragon's Dogma 2. My character will already exist, and so will the pawn. So we can jump right into the game. All right, which will be nice. Then I have to waste like a half an hour or more creating all these characters. So that should be fun. And Friday, yes, confirmed. I'll be playing Dragon's Dogma 2 all day Friday. First and second stream. We jump right into the gameplay to explore, relearn the game mechanics. I'm assuming it's going to play like the first game, which I remember, but I know it's probably going to have some variations. It's been over a decade, so I'm going to have some things I've forgotten. And it should be a good old time. But then on Saturday, we're back to Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon because we have to finish these games. Sunday will be React Day. Monday will be Baldur's Gate 3 Like a Dragon. And we'll keep that schedule going until Baldur's Gate 3 and or Like a Dragon are done. And as soon as one concludes, we jump into Dragon's Dogma 2 full time as a main game on the streams. Okay? Now, once we get them both done, we have a big decision to make. Do I want to do Dragon's Dogma 2? And do I want to bring back Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Or do I want to do Dragon's Dogma 2 and start a new game like Alone in the Dark or Rise of the Ronin? We have to make this decision what you want to see on the streams. In addition, once Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon are done, I'm going to start a co-op playthrough with my wife of Beyond Two Souls. Now, that's not going to be all the time, but maybe once to twice a week we're going to do it. So that will also be in the mix for variety purposes, okay? So we're going to have some good new stuff coming on the horizon as soon as I finish these two RPGs. Now, in addition to all of that, my birthday is coming. On Saturday, April 6th, it's going to be Phil's Birthday Bash 2024, all right? What are we going to do on that day? Well, it's going to be a marathon event. Number one, we are going to go through the gaming schedule together. We're going to look at game release dates and pick and choose the games that we are both most interested in so we can have a schedule set out and you guys will know exactly what I'm going to be playing over the next, summer months into the fall. And that way what we can do is fill in the blanks. Like, let's say there's a month where there's only 1 or 2 releases. Well, that's the month that we could do this downtime stuff that we've been waiting to do. Or we could play games like Rise of the Ronin or something that I've skipped. We could fit those into the schedule. Okay? So that'll work. That'll be good. In addition, I'm going to order some food that day, and we're going to have a live feasting with Phil. And my wife is going to make a birthday cake for me, and we'll have a live, piece of cake to celebrate the birthday celebration that day. Will there be some booze? Yes. What booze? I don't know yet. I still have the Long Island iced tea from the Super Bowl event last month. I haven't drank any more of it, so we have that. I'll probably get some more alcohol at some point and figure out I want to do, some shots or some mixed drinks or something. So I'll have some alcohol over the course of the day. Outside of that stuff, I don't know what else we'll be doing. And I guess what we need to do is we need to figure out exactly what it is that you want to see. What do you want to see on that stream? Do you want to see me do some random multiplayer? Do you want to see Kat come on the stream and kind of hang out for a little bit if she's interested? Do you want, or maybe we'll do some of the Beyond Two Souls co-op that day together? Would you like to just have a session where we hang out and we talk for a couple hours, right? We could do whatever. Let me know what you think, because we have less than 2 weeks to plan this event. That's right. I take that back. We have less than 3 weeks to plan this event. It's April 6th, so we basically have a little bit over 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from this coming Saturday. And obviously, I'm going to hammer out the topics and things we'll be discussing and or the segments we'll be doing during that event so people know what to think of. And, of course, it's my birthday, so hopefully we'll have some festive fun here together, okay? All right. That's that. That's what I had to talk about today. That was a lot to cover, so I hope that you enjoyed. What I'd like to do now is a little bit of what we like to call around here DSP News. That's right. It's time to talk about some gaming news today, and we have 2 big stories to cover today. Story number 1. According to Bloomberg, Sony Group Corporation has paused production on the PlayStation VR2 entirely. They are not even making any more of them. You might say, why? Because it needs to clear a backlog of unsold units. Huh? Yes, the reports are now coming out the PSVR2 is a giant flop. Unlike PSVR1, excuse me, which actually sold quite well and caught on with a mainstream console audience, PSVR2 has not. And experts are citing an incredible lack of interesting game releases. If you take a look at the PSVR2 since it came out, what was it, 2 years ago? 1 year ago? Who even remembers, right? Because honestly, unlike the PSVR1, which did make waves, if you remember, when the PSVR1 came out, there was a ton of flagship titles for it that everyone kind of talked about for a while. There was the Batman VR game. There was Job Simulator for the first time on a console. There were all these different variety of games, remember? I think even, didn't even one of the, like, choose your own adventure style studios make one, and that was the one that had the heist, and it had you were in the cage with the sea life around you, and a shark comes at you and stuff. So it was gimmicky, sure. Oh yeah, it even had the Until Dawn time. Remember that? The Until Dawn on-rail shooter? So here's the thing. Basically, the games were definitely gimmicky, but they did catch on for a while. Notably, if you remember, Resident Evil 7, which was a flagship title for PSVR 2 or VR1, because it came out only a few months before, and then it had a compatibility patch, and it worked with VR, and a lot of people liked playing Final Fantasy, Resident Evil 7 in VR. They liked that first person. You could aim with your head and stuff like that. They found it very fun. But PSVR 2, when it released, which again, I can't even remember when it released because that's how much of a kind of a fart it is, right? It's a fart in the wind. It had the Horizon game, which was hilarious because they were like, oh, the Horizon game will be the killer app. Horizon Forbidden West didn't even sell as well as they wanted it to. It was considered underperforming. So if their major flagship title on the console sold underperforming, what made you think the VR title was going to sell well? It's like they put all their eggs in this basket and no one bought the basket, right? So the eggs are just sitting there rotting away. Outside of that, though, like what other PSVR 2 games can you mention has anyone really talked about at all? Have you heard about a single major game in PSVR 2? I haven't. And I keep my ear to the ground when it comes to game news and it comes to hype and social media. I don't hear anyone talking about it. Unlike PSVR 1, where there definitely was some hype for about a year, there's nothing. It's as if this thing doesn't exist. Everyone talked about the Horizon game at launch, and that was it. No one has been discussing this thing. And so, come to find out, yeah, it's because there's no games. There's literally nothing for this worth playing. So even though it has better technology, no one bought it. It's just sitting on shelves collecting dust. And I've been talking about this recently, right? I've been saying, listen, is there an audience for VR? There absolutely is. But it's not who Sony thinks it is. The mainstream gamer is not interested in putting on an intrusive headset and these waggle controllers or whatever and needing to have the proper spacing and everything in order to play VR. They're not. There's an enthusiast who is for it, but they already have it. They already bought the MetaQuest. They already have, what's the other, the HTC Vive or whatever it's called. They already have 2 or 3 of these devices for their PC already because they're PC gamers. Those are the enthusiasts for VR, not console gamers. There's just really no market for it on consoles right now. Now, if you remember, a few weeks ago, or a month ago, there was an announcement that PSVR 2 is now being researched to be compatible with PC. And at that time, I made the statement, well, wait, if PSVR 2 does actually become compatible with PC, that's amazing, because imagine you're going to get all the PlayStation exclusive VR games and ports, because there's a lot of games that are ported to work with VR after the fact, but you also will be able to play all the amazing and pre-existing good VR games that are currently only available on PC. Now, that's an idea, and I would guarantee you that's why Sony's doing that. If Sony had a great lineup of games on PlayStation 5 for the VR2, and it was selling, they wouldn't care about making it compatible with PC. But they don't. They invented the technology, but they didn't make any demand for it because there's nothing to play on it. You see? It's just absolutely ridiculous that Sony did this. Like, even when they were showing this off over the last few years, and people were like, oh, are you excited for the PSVR 2? I'm like, why would I care about it? The PSVR 1 within 1 year was an afterthought. No one was talking about it. No one was developing games for it. So why would you think that something different would happen with the PSVR2? I don't care if the technology is advanced if there's no demand for the technology. And that's the problem. On console, there's little to no demand for VR. On PC, there is among the PC enthusiast community, but they already exist and they already have their devices. You see? So I guess we'll see what happens, but, you know, this is, I hate to say it, this is kind of an I told you so moment. When the thing was released, I said, it's too expensive, no games, because no one's going to care about the Horizon game. No one cared about the regular Horizon game, so why are they going to care about the VR version? I was dead on correct. This thing has undersold, underperformed, and they're not even going to make any more until people buy the existing ones that are literally just sitting there collecting dust. Okay? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have one other news story for today. It ain't a good one. You remember on Friday, I had a heck of a stream playing the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, which is one of the worst released games of recent memory. It is pretty much completely unplayable, at least on console. I don't know how bad it is on PC, but on console, the collection is a joke. It runs absolutely horribly. It's janky. You teleport all over the place because of the lag. The hit detection is atrociously bad. It's just an awful experience all around. I don't know how they released it like that. Now, supposedly, the game developer, Asper, is claiming that they are going to actively patch it and improve it, and they apologize, and they said they're going to fix it, okay? Well, something happened overnight. Very bad. All right, you ready for this? A popular modder of the original Battlefront games. So keep in mind something. I have to bring this up because you need a little bit of a preface to understand this story. The original Star Wars Battlefront games were released in the early 2000s. I think the first one was 2004. And I think Battlefront 2 was either 2005, 2006, something like that, okay? I could be wrong, but I think that's about the time frame they released. Huge games, ginormously popular, but after a while, they fell off in popularity and support. So modders came in on PC and modded the living crap out of these games to make them more viable. In fact, modders tried to keep these games alive for many years and make them still be playable online and things like that. Well, someone in the modding community, apparently a popular modder, has come out and said, I am insulted because, ladies and gentlemen, at least on the Nintendo Switch version, they're not sure if it's present in every version of this collection, but at least in the Nintendo Switch version, it has launched with all of this modders content in the game. And they said they've confirmed it through testing because the animations that they put into the game for the heroes have glitches and bugs that are replicated by the modder now that they own the Switch version of the game, and it wasn't present in the original games. In addition, they were never contacted to be asked for their permission to use their mods in the game. They were never compensated for the use of their mods in the game. So apparently, they stole the mods and just put them in thinking, oh, well, no one will notice. Well, this blew up overnight. There was tons of different, Battlefront and Star Wars related media covering this story. This one, Kyber, the Battlefront 2 custom account or whatever, says the following. We are saddened to see the abhorrent treatment and blatant exploitation of modders' uncredited work in the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Asper assured the community this would not happen after suspicions were roused prior to the launch. And despite this, it's clear that they did it and blah, 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 blah. So the question is, what's the deal with this? Could a company take modders' content without their permission and actually put it into a retail product that they sell for profit? Well, this person seems to think otherwise. This is a Clone Trooper 163. Well, they don't have to credit him. It clearly states in Battlefront's EULA, which is their agreement, they can use any mods without any permission, and 99% of the modder's work was already using in-game assets that weren't ever his anyway. People get pissed when this happens, but you agree to these things when you actually buy the game. So is that true? Is it true that if he modded the game and never got legal permission to do so, does that mean that they could do whatever they want with his modded content and they get away with it scot-free? What is the legality of the situation? Nobody knows as of yet, but it's a developing story, and I guarantee you people are going to figure this out. All right, people are going to say, is it legal or not? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to lean towards it probably is legal for them to do it, because if the modder just took the code from the game they didn't make, they didn't have permission to modify it, they just modified it and then they shared it with an online community and people enjoyed those modifications to the game, technically he doesn't own it. The work was done with other things that, you know, you didn't own. You know, if an artist goes ahead and breaks into an artist supply store and steals all the ingredients to make an epic sculpture, but everyone knows that it's stolen, but no one cares. No one prosecutes the sculptor. They just let him go and sculpt a big artistic sculpture out in the square of the stolen goods that he just stole. And he makes an epic sculpture. Well, is that work of art his? Technically, he made it. It's his artistic vision, but it's stolen goods. He stole the things to make the sculpture from the store next door, and everyone knows he stole it. So does the store have the right to now claim that sculpture and say, no, that's made from our ingredients, that's our sculpture? I don't know. Has that ever even happened? I don't think so. So without any kind of maybe legal precedent, I don't know if we have an answer. However, they do have a point here. With these terms of service, all right, in the place for a game. If you bought the game and then you modded it, and that goes against the terms of service, do you technically own the mods that you made? I don't know. Here's the thing, you know, it's just going to be a big question of who owns what, who do the rights go to, right? At one point, does something become someone's legal property versus, oh, it's something creative you made, but you don't technically own it, right? It really is a gray area. It really, really is. Because, for example, on YouTube, let's say, for example, right now, I want to react to someone's content on YouTube. So I do. I have the legal right to do that. But I only have the legal right to put the video out. When it comes to the monetization rights, usually YouTube leans towards the original uploader. So, for example, right now, if I was watching someone's Let's Play of Baldur's Gate 3, they could claim my React video and say, no, I own the copyright to that video. And I could, of course, try to dispute it. But a lot of the times, YouTube will instead just do a content ID match and say, so you can make your video, that's fine, your video exists, but you don't own the advertisement rights to it. The original uploader has that. So they're going to make money on your video. This happens all the time with my React show. DSP versus the internet. Almost every episode that I upload is claimed by a third party, and they're making money on my work. And I have no legal way to stop that unless I get a lawyer and sue. Okay? So that's what I mean. In this case, maybe it was legal for the modder to make the modded content, and it's okay. The creative vision is theirs, and it's their content. But guess who has the right to monetize it? The original creator of the game. So technically, maybe they're in the right here. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know at all. Maybe they should have given credit. Maybe the issue here is they didn't credit the work. They should have said, hey, just so you know, this game will feature mods that were made by the community, and here's a shout out list of the community members whose mods over the years have kept this game alive, and we put these into the game for posterity to make it better. I don't know, but they didn't do any of that. They literally just have them in the game without saying shit, right? Here's some of the thoughts of my chatters here. Says, it's disingenuous of a company to take credit for something they didn't do. They're caught lying, and that shows bad faith. What else did they pilfer to get the game made? Good point. Darziak says, certainly won't be the last. This happened with Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. Modder's work was used in that too. Wow. And of course, Eternal Napalm says, well, at least we have honest games like the day before. There you go. Well, there you go. See, this is interesting. Zero says Crystal Dynamics actually hired some of the Tomb Raider modders in order to make the remasters, and that's good faith. Got paid for their work. So this is a hot topic. I feel like this will continue. You know, this collection just came out, and what it was is a lot of people were like, okay, so we're going to wait for the collection to be fixed, and then we're going to play it. But now with this issue, finding that there's modder content in there that's not even cited, claimed, or shouted out properly, you know, no attribution given to the original creator of it, I think a lot of people are going to like boycott this collection now, which sucks for me because I own it and I can't refund it because it's on PS5. So I was thinking maybe I would go back to it. Seriously, I was like, oh, maybe I'll wait a few weeks and I'll try it again. It could be a fun game every once in a while to play at night. But now I get the feeling no one's going to play it. Like, it's probably just going to be a dead game now because no one's going to want to play a game that they stole modders' content. It's like, ugh, fucking shitballs. I really screwed myself. Man, I really nerf-herded myself right into this one. I really just, I'm really sucking the Sarlacc balls on this one, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I must have, yikes. Anyway. I just clicked the wrong thing. That's not what I meant to click. Sorry. Anyway, that's the news for today. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. Let's get to shout-outs, shall we? Let's get started. So, on the YouTube side of thing today, we have absolutely nothing. No super chats, no memberships, no re-upping of memberships, no gifted memberships, no super stickers. Nothing. I have nothing to shout out on the YouTube side of things. But we start off with a tip. A $10 tip. And that tip has come from August. I would love to see Bully again. I love that game, and I love your playthrough of it. We have a vote for Bully as the next Retro React event. There you go. Thank you, August, for the first tip of the day. I appreciate that. The animation play? Yes, it did. Even when the website is lagging, the animation plays anyway, so I guess that's a good thing. So thank you, August. And by the way, I should say this. I really enjoyed having the Kazuma Kiryu animations for tips this month. However, the Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth playthrough is coming to a close. So if anyone would be interested in maybe making some new animations for the streams, for contributions coming up, some big playthroughs coming up. Obviously, Dragon's Dogma 2, the Elden Ring DLC is coming up, right? And that's a big one. So maybe just some ideas there of things you could think of if you'd like to possibly make animations. Okay? Okay, cool. All right. Let's take a look here. On, 2. Okay, it looks like I don't have anything to shout out yet. So if any contributions come in, I absolutely will shout them out. However, being that it's already past noon, I do not want to do suggestion box today. I will say this. All right. Last few times that I've done the suggestion box. All right. A lot of people are like, well, when you do the suggestion box, you seem to get angry or upset. And if that's the case, then what's the point of the suggestion box? Well, here's the thing you have to understand. When the suggestion box, the point of the suggestion box is supposed to be constructive criticism, saying, here's a suggestion for you that perhaps would help you to improve and grow. All right. What I'm getting a lot in the suggestion box are very, very big, demands. It's not, oh, so you should really do this thing because this will improve your content. It's more like, I just don't like this, so stop doing it. That's not constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is, listen, here's something that you can do to improve. Here's why it would improve your content. And here's, some examples of how it would either benefit you or how it's benefited others. And we feel it will apply to your content, or how people have said that this is something beneficial. That's different from, I just don't like your podcast, so stop doing it, or shorten your podcast dramatically. And then I explain, well, I don't understand why you would ask that, because all evidence points towards the podcast doing really well. The viewership on the podcast has done well. Engagement during the podcast is great. I've actually had some days where all my support came in during the podcast. And when I started playing the game, the whole stream dried up. We lost hundreds of viewers and we didn't get any support for the rest of the stream. Everything is pointing towards me doing more style of podcast. Why are you asking for less podcast? And every time I say that, I don't get a valid response. I just get, oh, I think it's boring. I want more gameplay. Make the podcast shorter. That's not constructive criticism. That's your personal demands. I don't need personal demands. I don't want to know specifically what you like and don't like. That's not suggestions. That's your own pet peeves with my content. That's not a constructive criticism. You understand the difference? If you're going to say, I think this should change or improve, you have to justify with a good reason why, not that you personally don't like it. All right? There's tons of things I personally don't like on the internet, but I don't go to them and complain about them. I just don't partake in them then. You see the difference? Constructive criticism would be like, for example, what OP Boone has been doing, where he's been saying, hey, here's a suggestion of something you can implement that'll probably make your content better. Now, sometimes I take OP Boone's suggestions, and I implement them, and it works really well, and we get big improvements. Literally what I just did earlier during the show, where I did the pause recording and stop and resume recording, that was him. And I'm going to use that from now on when I need to like get out of the chair to do stuff. Like today, Jasper's in the office, but Kat will come home at some point during the stream, and instead of saying, I'm going to leave an empty chair here for 5-10 minutes, I'm going to hit that pause and resume record button. That's an awesome piece of constructive criticism that has improved my content. But I'm not always going to take what OP Boone says and do it. For example, yesterday he had the suggestion about ripping the news segment out of my streams and setting it up as separate videos to be separately promoted and everything. I would like to do that, but I don't have the means to. Nor do my editors who are working on the throwback channel. I'm not going to tell them, stop working on the throwback content to come over here and do this instead. I'm going to tell them, keep doing what you like, and maybe long term, like I said, maybe if I had an employee who I was actually paying, who could sit here every day and sift through all my content and edit parts out, then I could do that. That's how other YouTubers do it. They have employees to do it for them, not volunteers. But I don't have an employee because I can't afford one because I'm not big enough to have an employee. You understand? So that's the thing. That's constructive criticism. I don't get mad at OP Boone because he made a suggestion that doesn't work. I just explain why. But when your suggestion box input is, I don't like this because you don't like for yesterday, I don't like that you advertise for 10 to 30 minutes demanding income. I don't do that. That literally doesn't happen. There's never been an instance where I'm playing a video game like this and I say, well, guys, I've had it. You're not contributing today. So I'm going to put the controller down and I refuse to play until someone contributes. I'm going to turn my camera off and I'm not turning it on until someone contributes. You guys got to pay up. When the hell has that ever happened in the 16 years that I've made content? That makes absolutely no sense that people would say shit like that. But that's what I'm getting in the suggestion box. It's like, that literally doesn't happen. You're citing things that don't happen and telling me not to do them. That they don't happen. But the problem is, you're watching detractor content. And the detractors only emphasize shit that makes me look bad. They will act like that literally just happened. Like, oh, see, he did that. Or he did, it doesn't happen. The shit that they're saying happens doesn't happen. But if you just sit there and you watch the drama content, then you complain about drama, there's one person to blame. You. You're the one who watched the drama content because you wanted drama. So don't ask for less drama that doesn't exist. You created it. Again, if people would just watch this content, if you would be here every day for the show and hang out with me, you would realize that most of the complaints about the show don't exist. Wait a minute, I like the show. Why would I want the podcast to be shorter? People are hanging out, having a fun conversation. Everyone's having a good time. Why would we want a shorter podcast, right? Wait a minute, advertisement. He didn't even advertise. I haven't yet. Have I said a word about contributions today? I think I did talk about the throwback channel, but that was it. Or no, I wasn't the throwback channel. It was actually the React channel. I haven't said anything about it on this stream about it, right? And we're a good hour in. So what are you talking about? It doesn't exist. You made it up because you listened to the wrong people, right? Anyway, that's the difference. And that's what I want to say when I emphasize, I don't mind doing the suggestion box. It's just that what you're noticing is a lot of the suggestions are not suggestions. They're demands of little pet peeve stuff that doesn't benefit the business if I were to do it. No. Shortening the podcast when all evidence is saying the podcast is doing better than a lot of the gameplay streams doesn't make sense. Just because you don't like the podcast doesn't mean that I have to change it. It means that you need to adhere to a schedule. You know when the podcast starts and ends, so come after the podcast ends. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you, because in life, you're going to have to learn how to read and adhere to schedules. And if you can't do that, you're going to have a pretty miserable life. So maybe get a head start on it now. Okay? Okay. So, Dark Gaming says, if someone is looking at your level 1 playlist, how would they know what's covered without going through every individual video? I tried retitling my videos as of 2 months ago, and this should help. What I do is I try to emphasize what's going on in each show in the title, and that comes first. So as soon as you see today's podcast, right, it'll probably say something like, Friday game chosen, schedule update, or, something like that. So people will know, oh, this is a podcast where he determined what he's playing Friday. Let's watch it to figure this out. And then remember, there's some AI-generated timestamps that are in the description of each video, and that should help you find the specific times, okay, to actually click to. There you go. Okay. All right. Are we good? Jade, by the way, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope you feel better, Jade. Really. I'm really sorry to hear that. Please take it easy today. I received a $1 tip from Better Call Darth Maul. I too would enjoy watching you stream Bully for your Retro React channel, where you again play Final Fantasy Rebirth. I already explained that on the stream today, that we need to finish the 2 existing RPGs. Once the 2 existing RPGs are done, then I go full-time into Dragon's Dogma 2, and at that time, we reassess. Would you want me to go back to Final Fantasy VII? Would you want me to instead play a new game? Like, that's the stuff we have to figure out. And we will together. But that will come in time. That we're not going to rush it right now. Okay? Okay, let's see here. I received an $8 tip from 1 Minute Man. He says, the ambush combat in Baldur's Gate 3 Part 120 from Saturday, you were surprised that Fist Bella died even though you had non-lethal active. You spend time examining non-lethal symbol, you'll understand why. Now, people explained right after, keep in mind, I've only used non-lethal like once during the playthrough at all. It never really was something that I utilized. And I guess what people are saying is non-lethal only works for melee attacks, and that's it. It doesn't work for magic. It doesn't work for, like range. It's only melee attacks. So if that's the case, we know why they died, because I didn't hit them with melee attacks. I hit them with ranged attacks, and that would be why they died, right? I received another $8 tip, also from 1 Minute Man. Hold on. Thank you for another $8 tip. Let's see what he has to say here. So it's 27 now. As for the remaining quests, you need the remaining 2 Netherstones. Dealing with Gortash is easier if the Steel Watchers are gone, but there are clever ways to do this anyway. Since you haven't done the submarine quest, he's not yet hostile. By using spells and potions that will grant speed, mobility, and visibility disguise, the job is half done. Remember, nobody pays attention to small animals. Great. Too bad that I really have never used a druid, nor am I planning on doing that. From what I don't understand, the thing everyone's alluding to is this Iron Throne quest, which you use the submarine to get to some prison, and you're basically doing like a jailbreak, and it's really frustrating because you only have, I think people are saying 6 turns for your party in order to rescue the people in the jail, and everyone says it's the hardest thing to do in the game because you need to have insane amounts of mobility to do it. And like, basically, my Karlach would be fine because she could run really far and then throw the spear and teleport as well. But outside of that, like, some of my people are so slow as dirt. They can barely move. So it would be like you have to chug potions of speed and cast haste on everyone and basically just focus on movement for this mission. All right, that's what people have told me. Now, I don't know what the mission actually is or what you face in there. No one spoiled that. They're just saying it's a mission based on movement. You got to figure that out. But it's kind of like, we're at the end of a fucking game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so frustrating. Like, do I really want to do it? Do I really want to do it at all? It just sounds to me like tedious nonsense. For the end of the game, after you put all this effort in, let's do a mission that doesn't apply to anything you've done in the game and say, oh, it's good for variety. No, it's good for annoyance is what it is. I just want to beat the game. So I don't know if I'm even going to do it. We'll see about it as we get closer, okay? As we get closer to the end of the game, people say, I still got to do all these companion quests and finish those up. And then we've got, there's the Shadowheart companion quest, the Will companion quest, the Jaheira companion quest, and then we still got to beat Orin. And then I guess once we've done all of that, which is probably going to be many streams, then we'll determine, what we want to do next with the Gortash shit. Okay. Oh, by the way, once we finish the Orin quest, now we can do the Lae'zel companion quest. So then we got that to do first before we get to the next shit. Pretty ridiculous. Pizza Box Gaming, thank you for the first super chat of the day. $5, and he says, I think you'll appreciate my suggestion, even if you don't end up using it. I hope everyone is doing well. Well, thank you, Pizza Box Gaming, but I don't know what it is because we haven't gotten to it yet. We'll have to see when we do. Keep in mind that the suggestions thread is 3 weeks old, and we have 3 weeks of suggestions to get through before we get to new ones. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Okay. All right. Is that it? I think we're all caught up as of now. Wait, no. I received a $9 tip from 1 Minute Man. He says, I understand you're pressed for time, but I hope you don't try to finish the current games like a hot dog eating contest. That's an interesting analogy. If you were worried about RPG burnout, does it make sense to start another RPG? How about a Game Pass horror game for some variety? Well, this is the game that people want. You know, I asked this week, I said, do you want Rise of the Ronin? Or do you want, Dragon's Dogma 2? Or do you want something else? And the feedback I received this week was Dragon's Dogma 2. It's a big game. Everyone seems to feel like it's going to be good. And if I'm beating RPGs and that's my RPG focus, I think it'll be fine. If I was still playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I was still playing Like a Dragon and I was still playing Final Fantasy 7, then no, I don't think Dragon's Dogma 2 would work. But at least we're going to commit to finishing these other games first before we jump fully into the next one. Okay. Cool. By the way, if you guys haven't noticed, a lot of the fake gifted memberships are finally expiring. I see many of you here who had memberships for 2-3 months don't anymore. Now would be a great time to possibly consider renewing the membership yourself if you really liked having it. It would help this channel a ton because I lost a ton of legit memberships during that whole fiasco. So please consider it. Okay. Thank you for your support. And of course, if someone wants to gift memberships, it will finally go to more deserving people this time around who actually attend the streams. So consider that as well. Okay. I think I'm all caught up on a shout out. So if anyone else contributes, I'll give you a shout out. But in the meantime, if anyone else, wants to talk, please tag me in the chat. JDTV, how you doing? Right now, JDTV, I don't have any specifics to talk about anything, and that's why I'm not talking about them. If and when we have specifics to talk about something, I will mention them. Right? So there you go. There better not be 65 hours left in Baldur's Gate 3 because then I'm just not going to finish it. I'll just say fuck it. Seriously. I mean that too. Like, there's no way I'm playing another 65 hours of that fucking game. I'll quit. So I hope that it's not true. Easy Steve, how are you today? Welcome. High's Darkness, I do not take offense. It's just that I have heard that exact same line of argument since COVID began, and it is bullshit. It's what people like to push as a narrative for political reason. It has absolutely nothing to do with reality. So I appreciate the comment. I just want to let you know, if you actually believe that, you've had the wool pulled over your eyes. It's a bunch of bullshit. But if you don't know what we're talking about, High's Darkness left a comment last night on a video, and he's like, right now, there's inflation, and a lot of people aren't making a lot of money, or the money they made isn't going as far as it used to go, and therefore a lot of people are hurting, and that might be why right now you said your channel's down for like 2 months. And I'm like, so if that's the case, as you know, we totally have heard that every single content creator is hurting right now because they're all willing, people who take contributions, and all contributions would be down, right? Oh, by the way, that also means people don't have money to pay for consoles or video games or their Apple Watches or their fucking Teslas and all this shit that they're constantly dropping and spending money on. They don't have money for that anymore, right? No, it's bullshit. It's a bullshit argument. It's a straw man argument, okay? Ever since COVID, we've heard this argument that, oh, everything's messed up, everything's down, no one has money for anything. It's nonsense, okay? People have money to spend on what they want. The question is, do you find enough value to spend it on something, or say, oh, now I'm going to abstain from that because I'm cutting the fat because things are a little bit tighter. But in reality, you're going to spend money on things you find value in. If you find value in a content creator who's putting out hundreds of hours of free content for you, then you're probably going to support that content creator, all right? But the argument I'm making is the reason I'm down is 2 reasons: fake memberships and RPG overload. That has nothing to do with the fact that there's inflation right now. There's been inflation for 3 years, and this didn't happen until 2 months ago. So it's a not a valid argument. Again, it's a straw man argument. Everyone seems to use it to try to justify shit. I've literally had people over the last 4 years, every year, use this argument on me. I'm like, it's not valid. Stop trying to use that argument. It's not real. Okay. Okay, what else would you guys like to talk about today? Rush the story end. It'll be 5 to 10 hours. Like I said, I've invested enough time into Baldur's Gate 3. I want to see the resolution of the story arcs for the characters. I want to see Lae'zel, Will, Gale, Shadowheart, Asterion. I want to see everyone get, or I guess Jaheira in some case, even though I don't really know the character that well. She hasn't been that much a big of a part of the story for me. I want to see their character arcs end. Or else what was the point, right, of having them along the way and doing their missions up to now? I should have just ignored them. So I definitely want to do those. And I want to see the end of the game. Anything else? Probably not. No, I'm not going to be doing the fireworks mission or whatever it is. You know. Big Mac, thank you for re-upping your membership. I appreciate that, Big Mac. Thank you so much. No, I'm not romancing anyone before the playthrough ends. How incredibly immature of you to ask me that. You pervert. Am I going to pre-order Dragon's Dogma 2? I mean, at this point, does it really make a difference? I don't think you really get anything for pre-ordering games, right? I don't think so. Congrats to you. JDTV says he beat Sea of Stars this weekend. He platinumed it. 9 out of 10 game for me. It's really good. I was absolutely loving the game. And then I couldn't keep playing it. We will definitely go back to Sea of Stars later this year when there's time. Skill Scholar, how's it going? I received a $1 tip from He Hate Me. Can I get unbanned? I don't even know why you got banned. Because I swear I saw you in the chat yesterday. And I don't think I banned you, so moderator probably banned you. Excuse me. You know the deal. When it comes to getting unbanned, everyone knows. Do I have any interesting stories about Alex Valle? I mean, the only story about Alex Valle I've told before, that I remember it was at a random Evo in Vegas. And a lot of gamers, for whatever reason, didn't have hotel rooms at the hotel, but they wanted to stay in the hotel. Well, what happened was the hotel owners got wind of this. And they were told there's like flocks of fighting game players in the hallways who don't belong here because they don't have rooms. And the security was walking through the hallways trying to throw them out of the hotel. So as a group of them was walking by my room, I said, I'll be a nice guy and I'll let them hang out here for like a half an hour until the security calms down and then they can leave. So it was actually Valle with a group of other players who came into the hotel room to hang out. And the thing is, everyone was like drunk. Because that's the thing, we were all drinking and everything in the hotel, you know, partying and stuff. And he comes into the room, and I remember having a conversation with my friend Nestor, who actually is Coruchado. He's the guy who I used to do co-op with in like Black Ops Zombies. But he's a fighting game player, very good fighting game player from the East Coast. And we were having a conversation, and Valle was there, and he was so buzzed. He just starts like talking about, yeah, man, it's like, I know what you're talking about because I remember when I came here and I was trying to get my citizenship, and it was real hard to get a green card. And everyone like looked at him like, what the fuck is he talking about? He must have been so drunk he was having like a conversation in his head about something, and he just jumped in the middle of our conversation talking about his green card, and we were like, what? You know, like, huh? But it was funny. I mean, it's just a silly observation, but that's like one of the funny stories is that's how it was back then. I hate to say it. The fighting game community was basically a bunch of people bumming around a lot of the time. And so if you had money and you actually spent money on stuff, people would try to bum off of you. So it's like, oh, you have a hotel room? Hey, can I stay here for half an hour so that I don't get thrown out of the hotel? And, you know, who even knows where those people were going to stay? Eventually, they probably went room to room all night till someone just let them crash in the room. But I wasn't going to let people crash in my fucking room. You know, who knows who's going to fucking be stupid and steal or be so drunk and rowdy and they don't fucking shut the fuck up and go to sleep. So that's how it was back then. Well, I would say that's true, Jack. Jack says, in regards to recent burnout with RPGs, do you find most games today have RPG elements? I would say, yeah. In fact, I would say tons of games now have RPG elements. Even games that never did. Like, for example, even Call of Duty has a leveling system, an unlock system, and has RPG elements. I think a lot of games have realized, oh, it's progression, and it allows you to find ways to monetize the game and stuff when you have those kind of progression systems. So, yeah, to some extent, RPGs are kind of permeating into everything, right? Let's see here. All right. I'll take a look during the break. I'll take a look at my emails. This is the person who wants to be unbanned. They claim that they emailed me, but I'm not going to do it now. Oh, man, I cannot wait for this heat wave to end. I'm sitting here. I'm not kidding. I'm sweating. Just sitting here with you guys talking on the podcast, I'm sweating. It's gross. I fucking hate it, you know? But it's supposed to go back to normal on Wednesday. Tomorrow it's still going to be warm, and then Wednesday it's supposed to be cool again. So I could actually go back to, like, my attire that I was wearing, like button-down shirts and stuff. I could actually start wearing that again when it's cooler on Wednesday. Would I say I'm better at stealth games or racing games? At this point, I would say I'm better at stealth. Like, I've played a few stealth games that I've been decent at. For example, the Hitman series, Metal Gear Solid 5, some of the Dishonored stuff, and I've done better at it. You know, I think stealth games have become a hell of a lot more easy now as well. They're much more accessible. The classic ones I was playing, like the classic Metal Gears, those are pretty tough if you're not used to them, right? But yeah, like I say that stealth for sure. Racing, I barely ever play racing. So when I do, I usually suck ass at it, right? Mr. Toadstool, when the summer hits, I put in my air conditioner. In fact, I would say probably my air conditioner will have to go in sometime in April this year. But the thing is, it's cold at night. At night, we have to turn on the heat. So I'm not going to have air conditioners in the window and then turn on the heat at night. Right? It's ridiculous. We got to wait for it to be the appropriate time to shift over. I consider getting a pet turtle. No, although we do think that turtles are cute. Turtles are a little bit tricky to take care of, from what I understand. You know, they can get sick. They can be a little bit frustrating because a lot of them need the heat lamps and stuff like that. And my wife and I have basically said we're not going to get any reptiles. Like, we're not going to bother with amphibians or reptiles. It's going to be too complicated of a deal. What's the thing I'm looking forward to the most in the next year, gaming or in general? I don't know. Zero, I don't know. I've got so much going on in my life right now between juggling 3 YouTube channels, all right, planning random events like my birthday event and other things. I've got things going on behind the scenes in my private life that, you know, I'm handling. I'm not looking far ahead at right now. It's like I got to go to the day-to-day. You know what I mean? I got to just handle the day-to-day for now. Maybe at one point I will have a more long-term goal that I can look forward to. I can't really do that right now. I'm already kind of scatterbrained. What's going on, Show? How are you today? Good to see you. Oh, that's cute. Bean says, I take care of little pond turtles. I release them when they get a little bigger. That's cute. We actually have, behind our house, we don't know where it is, but we have to have either a pond or like a stream, because this time of year we hear frogs loudly ribbiting. And we can hear them like sometimes during the day, but mostly at night. And they're ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Like, where are they? We don't know, because it's in the back, like behind our facility, behind the fencing. There's a like a little forest, and we're thinking it's somewhere in there. But it's really cool that you get those frogs freaking ribbiting at night. Only during the spring. It's like the spring serenade of frogs every night. I received a $5 tip. Without spoilers, you can beat Baldur's Gate 3 in less than 5 streams. 1, beat Orin. 2, side with Gortosh. FYI, whenever you side or beat him, his fate is sealed. Whether you side or beat him, his fate is sealed. That's all you have to do. From RPG Burnout Myth. I don't want to side with him. I want to kick his ass. It's like, I want to beat everyone's ass. It's the point of the game, isn't it? To beat everyone's ass? And I'm doing a good job at it, right? Take a look at what I did to Raphael. I made Raphael look like a pussy. I made him look like a sissy. He was slipping all over the place, like he couldn't even stand up. He had noodle legs, and he's just embarrassing. And he's supposed to be a demonic entity that's super powerful in the realm of Baldur's Gate, you know, in the lore. And I just slapped him around and called him Susan. So, I mean, what am I afraid of? I'm not afraid of anything. At this point, I'm going to kick everything. I really feel like people are like, oh, the Gortash fight might be tough. I don't think so. No, I don't think so at all. Am I going to play Stellar Blade in April? Unlikely. But we'll see. I'll leave it as a maybe, but it's unlikely. And I'm going to be honest with you. Would you really want to know the truth? Although the combat, I have looked a little bit into the combat, and it looks okay to me. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. It looks decent. If I play Stellar Blade, 99% of the time I'm playing the game, people in the chat are going to be fucking immature shitheads about the character. Because the character was designed purposefully to be a sexualized character. The game dev has outright said it, and all the coverage you're seeing in the game online is just sexualized. Meaning, oh look, instead of show gameplay, let's have her walk up and down this ladder 10 times in a row to see her butt cheeks jiggle. Well, I don't fucking do that. I don't care about that, and I don't want my stream to be all about that, so I'm not going to fucking subject myself to that, when people will definitely be doing that in the chat, so I think I'm just going to skip it. You know, just being honest. I don't feel like I'm missing out too much anyway, because like what I've said, if this game did not have that woman as the protagonist, I don't think people would be talking about it like they are. I don't think people would even be that excited for it. I think it's a decent game when it comes to the gameplay elements, but people are loving the game and hyping it because they're perverts. They're over-sexualized people who are just about the fucking main character. They want to lust over her and fucking look at the butt cheeks jiggle, look at the boobs jiggle, and the devs say, oh yeah, I based her off of a model on purpose so that people would do this shit. Well, guess what? I'm not into that, since that seems to be a major part of the game development cycle for this game and what was intended, and I don't care about that. I guess I'm skipping it. Oh well. If people would actually just be more mature, I probably wouldn't care. But I know literally the entire chat will just be like, oh my god, lusting over this woman constantly when I try to play the fucking game. So I'm just not going to bother with it. You know, I hate to say it, but that was one of the advantages back in the day of when I played a game like Bayonetta. I didn't live stream it. So I could just do the content, put it out. And yeah, people would be like that in the comments, but at least it didn't permeate the content when I was doing it live. You know, I love having an interactive audience. I feel like the interactive audience will be lost during a Stellar Blade playthrough because people won't be able to control themselves. And I know that sounds fucking sad, but I just think it's true. It's this thing about human society. Like, oh, a sexualized character. I can't control myself. Time to just fucking talk about it constantly. Right? BB Phil did a super chat. Says, thank you for talking about Alex Valle. Did you ever beat him at any point during your pro career? Yes, I did. And he beat me. I think actually we're 1-1. He beat me at EVO 2006, and I beat him at EVO West 2007. Yeah. So we are 1-1 right now. We're even. And it would be cool to have an epic final fight, although honestly, he'd probably beat me because more than likely he's constantly still playing fighting games, and he's in the community, and I'm not. So he'd probably kick my ass, just being honest. Unless I practiced a ton again to get back into fighting shape in Super Turbo, he'd probably whoop me. Okay. Better Call Darth Maul tipped $1, says, is there a reason why Battlefront 1 Remake didn't get a graphical upgrade and Battlefield, the way that Battlefield 2 Remake did? No, there is. What are you talking about? They're completely different. There was, you're getting confused. Battlefront 1 and 2 in the 2010s are new games entirely from the ground up. This Battlefront collection is just the classic games from 2004 or 5 redone on modern consoles and PC, but it's the same games. What you thought there's another remaster, there isn't. Those are new games from the 2010s, so that's where you're getting confused. Prisoner says, is that how some people were acting when you played Nier Automata? Yeah. I would say this. With Nier Automata, it wasn't as bad. And it was bad, don't get me wrong. But I think the reason it wouldn't have been as bad is because the game was unique and had a crazy good story. Like, you think the game's going to be a game just at superficial combat with half-naked androids. But then as you're playing it, you realize the plot is super fucking good. It's deep. It's interesting. It's fourth wall breaking. And I'm so happy that people convinced me eventually to go back to that game. They're not going for that with Stellar Blade. They're not. They're just literally making a game with good action with an over-sexualized character. Did you know that the character has a skin suit? She has a skin-colored suit to wear to, again, make her look like she's nude. But the trick is, if you put it on, it makes the game harder. So in order to see her basically nearly naked, you have to basically play the hardest version of the game. Wow, this sounds like a game that's right up my alley, doesn't it? Right? That's what I'm all about. No, I'll tell you really, here's why Stellar Blade is getting the coverage it's getting. Because it's the anti-woke game. It's following all the tropes of games that used to be out in the 1990s. The original Lara Croft shit, right? So many games today have gone woke. Where, oh, the women, we're tired of them being over-sexualized. We're tired of them, you know, being portrayed in a certain way. And now we want to go, you know, this is a way that they're spitting right in the face of all of that, correct? Ha, fuck you. We could still have, you know, sexualized women in games, and that's fine, but it's just not going to be for everyone. Personally, I don't have any gripes with the combat engine or anything that they did with the gameplay elements, but I'm not interested in the sexualization of characters, so I'm not going to care about the game. I'm going to skip it. If you like that, go for it. That's on you, and you enjoy it. I'm not going to hate on you for liking Stellar Blade, but I want you to respect the decision that I'm going to make to not make it part of my streams and content, since that was a major focus of the game development cycle. They've outright said it, okay? But I think that's what it is. They're so many games now that are going the other direction, you know, completely the other direction. And gamers are kind of riling against that. Like, no, actually, we liked how it was back in the day. It's good to have variety. It's good. In reality, it's good to have variety. It's good to have the option. If you like that, go for it. If you don't like that, don't go for it. There's something over here for you. There's stuff in between, and that's all perfectly fine, right? Variety is the spice of life. So if you like that stuff, go for it. I don't care about it, though. DSP politics when? I know. It seems like every day something gets more political, right? Literally every day we have a more political discussion. It's, you know, unavoidable. It's unavoidable that eventually we're going to get there as I get older, right? Right. Hold on a second. My blinds just... there's... Dude. Ah! My eye. That's right, the chair. The new chair emote will be used when I get up. Am I woke because I don't like Stellar Blade? See, here's the thing. No, I totally don't agree with the whole woke mentality. I feel like people should have the ability to do what they want. If you like the content, enjoy it. If not, don't. I'm not going to sit here and rally against, say this is right and this is wrong and this is, you know, to each their own. But at the same time, I don't have to partake in things that I'm not interested in, and people should respect that, you know? I respect your ability to enjoy Stellar Blade if that's what you're looking for. I'm not. So each side should agree to disagree on what they like, and, you know, that's fine. No, I've never taken a stroll through the wooded area where the frogs are between streams. I don't know whose property that is, so I shouldn't even be over there. It's not in the realm of our property. We have fenced off at the back of our property. So if I jump the fence and walk over there, I'm legally trespassing, which I'm not going to do. So I don't know whose property that is. Can we get an emote of my face imposed on the red angry bird? People are saying they want it. There's some anger emote on another channel that they like. I don't know. Did I have a cold one in honor of Stone Cold on 316? No, I did not. I did not. I did not even think about it being 316 day. I don't think anyone even mentioned it on a stream. What would that have been? Saturday? Yeah, no one even mentioned it. Ever thought of owning a dog? We've thought about it, for sure, but it's not something we're willing to commit to right now because Jasper being a cat that's very, very demanding and social. He's the kind of kitty that he wants to be involved in everything. And he gets very jealous if you're not having him involved in everything. And if you're giving attention to something else, he literally will impose himself into the situation to get attention. So can you imagine with a cat that already is demanding attention almost 24/7, if now there's a new major pet in the mix that's getting big attention? He's probably going to become incredibly jealous, incredibly upset. He's probably going to start misbehaving, like doing things like marking territory with his pee or poo, which cats tend to do when they're upset about a new animal intruding. So here's the thing. If when we had rescued Jasper, within maybe the first year, if we had brought a dog into the mix, it probably would have worked. But he's set in his ways. He's been here many years now. He's used to being the king of the castle, right? He's the one pet, the big domain owner, and he likes having access to everywhere in the house and not having any shared stuff. So he is not, definitely not going to like that. In addition, dogs do take more time and attention to raise than cats. Dogs are a more dependent animal, and you got to train them, and you got to walk them. You got to do a lot of different things you don't have to do with a cat. So right now, probably we're not looking for that commitment. Years down the line, okay, but we'll see. 3 years is many now. What are you talking about? You mean what I just said about Jasper, that we had him for many years? Dude, I introduced it to my streams, what, in 2019, 2020? I can't remember. It's at least been 4 years he's been on the streams. So what are you talking about? I think you're wrong. I swear some people are just so off base with these conceptions they have in their heads. You know? See you later, Rebecca. BB Phil loves the red fedora for some reason. He wants me to wear the red fedora today. Whenever we do Baldur's Gate 3, people always seem to tend to want the Viking hat. I don't know why, because I don't think there's any Vikings in Baldur's Gate, but for some reason, people always want the Viking hat for that playthrough. All right. Anything else, guys, or shall we adjourn and get set up for Baldur's Gate? What do you think? Why not do a hat poll now? Because we haven't hit the hat goal. We haven't even hit the tier 1 tips goal. And doing a poll early gets people's hopes up, and that's not fair. It's not fair to unfairly get people's hopes up. Am I surprised Jack in the Box is the only fast food chain that serves breakfast? What? Every fast food chain serves breakfast. Burger King, McDonald's, even Taco Bell. Like, all the major chains around here serve breakfast. I have no idea what you're talking about. I am not doing a Dragon's Dogma 2 character creation stream. My wife and I are going to create my character and a pawn she's going to make during our day off, so that way they're ready to go for Friday and we can jump right into the game without wasting like a half an hour to 45 minutes making a character. It makes sense because I'm only playing Dragon's Dogma 2 Friday all day. Then we're giving it a break to finish off Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon before we get back. So we want to get as much gameplay in as possible on Friday and not waste time. I am totally ready for the Eclipse on April 8th because we know what's going to happen when the Eclipse happens. Cthulhu's tentacles will finally reach around the planet and embrace us all and take us into the evil dark presence, and I'm ready for it. I've been waiting. I do not use beard oil of any kind. No, I've never done anything like that. I'm not one of those guys who like, oh, I got to dye my beard, right? So I look younger. I got to use beard oils to condition the beard. I don't do anything like that. I age and I look older and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I could probably, if I did dye my beard darker, I'd look younger for sure. Because when I had the dark beard, I did look younger. I'll agree there. But I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think people really care to see me looking that young. It's not a giant concern. You guys will see in the next few years, you're going to see a lot of gray hair. Because I actually have it, but you can't see it on camera right now. But I'm getting more and more gray hairs everywhere in my hair. And so I'm going to go gray eventually. Yeah, so you guys just can't see it. My hair is not immaculate. I have lots of grays in my head. You just can't see them yet. It used to be the same with my beard, but then the majority of my beard started going white, and now it looks you know, kind of like ashy almost, right? Like ashes. Yeah. Do I ever face dryness in the beard? Yes, I do. I get dry skin under there. Did I have a quarter life crisis? When the quarter life crisis would have been what, when I was 20? When I was 20, I don't even feel like I had my head firmly screwed on my shoulders yet. I really don't. I think like I went through all these weird phases of my life that it wasn't until I was past the early YouTube days, which would have been what, my early 30s, that I actually started to feel more like a full adult and more mature and stuff like that. You know, this last 10 years have really been a rough 10 years that have made me a hell of a lot more of a mature person. That's for sure. We got more tips coming in. Jeez, I was going to end the show, but we got a $5.55 tip from Chucky. If you were a character in Baldur's Gate 3, I would romance you. Well, that's incredibly upsetting that you would say that. And just so you know, if you tried to romance me in Baldur's Gate 3, I would absolutely reject you. I'd be the only character in the game not romanceable. How about that? I would rewrite the code of the game. Because you know those perverts at Larian would want to see me completely butt naked within 2 seconds of the game. It'd be like, hi, I'm Phil. Let's have sex. Because that's how they wrote the actual dialogue of the game for everyone else. So they probably have me doing that. But I would hack their studios. I'd hack their files. Change that. Be, hi, I'm Phil. Let's have drinks. That would change it. Okay. Better Call Darth Maul. Tipped $1. Have you seen the movie Pitch Black during the eclipse? Bad creatures come and kill us all in the night. That's the one with, that is the one starring Vin Diesel. And there was a video game of it. And actually, I played it very early on YouTube. Yes, I remember that game. And I remember that movie. Okay, guys, see what I mean? People like, make the podcast shorter. It keeps going. People are still here. The attendance is great. The engagement is good. But we got to end. We got to end and we got to get to Baldur's Gate because I have to finish this game. All right? So as much as we have fun with the podcast, guys, we got to put the kibosh on it for today. Okay? Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for putting up with my summer attire before. Today is either the first day of spring or it's about to be spring like tomorrow here in Washington. I'm not clear on that. But I thank you all so much for a great show. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be talking all about my progress today in the games and the like. You know what I should do? I think I actually have a Easter Bunny picture of me that I could put into this slideshow. Hold on. Because if I have that, I can do that right now. If I can find it. Where would it be, though? Where would the Easter Bunny picture be? Oh, there's the headshot of it. Do I have the whole picture? Did I do the Valentine's Day one this year? I think I might have forgotten all about it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so, in fact, I'm going to put the Easter Bunny first. Hold on. Easter's right around the corner. You guys aware of that? It's almost Easter. It's coming in like a week or two. So, thank you guys for a great podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. A nice chill time. Hope you'll stick around for Baldur's Gate 3. Keep in mind, no late stream tonight, but tomorrow we go back to full double streaming days that I hope you will join me for. Thank you so very much. See you tomorrow. Peace out.